This is the factory fire test for the first 400 horsepower boiler for the Ward's Island project, Johnston Boiler Company, and Preferred Utilities. An initial view and walk around of the boiler and burner shows the burner installed in the front of the vessel with the Preferred Utilities control panel. We put them in a test bay prior to painting so that any modifications that need to be done can be made before final paint. The steam and water side trim is mounted on the left-hand side of the boiler. Here we have the water columns and the piping for the differential pressure transmitter that is our water level, drum level transmitter. A manually operated steam valve is mounted on the top of the vessel to allow us to control steam pressure to the desired level for the duration of the test. Also on the left-hand side of the boiler is the boiler feed water control valve with 3-valve bypass. A feed water hose brings water in for the duration of our test. In the back of the vessel, you can see the rear cleanout door with observation port, the FGR piping, and this is the location where we will view the flame for this test. The burner is currently firing in a low fire condition. Here on the left-hand side of the vessel, we have the natural gas and digester gas fuel trains. We're using only natural gas for this test. On this front corner, we have a temporary setup with variable speed drive for the blower motor. The final installation of variable speed drive will take place on site. The burner is currently operating in the low fire condition. The controller on the right that's flashing is for opacity. The opacity instrumentation is not installed in the factory test setup as we do not have the final flue stack here at our facility. The first interlock check that we're running today is low water cutoff. The boiler's been steamed down until the low water cutoff tripped. The flashing red beacon indicates this on the top of the control panel, and on the touchscreen there's a text message indicating that the low water cutoff has tripped. Moving over to the water level gauge glass, you can see the water level in the glass at the time of trip. The next interlock check is the auxiliary low water cutoff. The primary low water cutoff has been bypassed.
So we just checked auxiliary low water, it says it right there, auxiliary low water cutoff. Go to the last lockout, auxiliary low water cutoff.
The next interlock to check is the combustion airflow switch.
So minimum airflow is just detected. Last lockout, minimum airflow.
The switch was checked by disconnecting the tubing connecting it to the burner. We'll now check the purge air switch in the same way. In the upper left-hand corner of the screen, you can see the current status of the burner. It's currently listed as startup delay, FD fan starting.
There it's holding for purge position. Once it finishes its countdown, it should say that purge position was not reached. That's a verification that the purge switch is working. System tripped. Purge position not reached. Last lockout.
The next interlock to be checked is the high steam pressure cutout. This is a recycling limit such that when it trips, the burner is allowed to restart on its own once the condition is corrected. The technician will adjust the set point of the switch downward to allow it to trip with the steam pressure that we currently have in the vessel.
Boiler is shut down.
Boiler shut down right now.
And with any luck, because it's part of the recycling limit, it doesn't show a lockout fault. It's designed to let the boiler restart after the situation is normalized. So the post-purge, and it should go to pre-purge to try to restart. VFD is starting and it's moving to purge.
We'll then move directly into our test of the high steam pressure limit.
Now I can go ahead and trip the high limit, which is the high steam pressure switch. And that will cause a permanent lockout. Simulated a high steam pressure right here. Lockout, high steam pressure. We are going to go ahead and reset that.
Next, we're going to move into our test of the high gas pressure switch. The technician will adjust the set point of the switch downward to allow the switch to trip with the currently operating gas pressure. The test is conducted during the purge process, and in the upper left-hand corner of the screen we see the indication the system is tripped, requiring a reset. On the bottom of the screen, in the red message box, we see indication of high gas pressure. On the alarm screen, we see annunciation that the lockout was a high natural gas pressure event. We'll now do a general walk around of the boiler operating in the low fire condition.
That our combustion pressure at low fire is very low. We've got less than 1/10 of an inch of differential in the manometer. Very low. And we won't have any stack pressure because we're not a sealed stack. At this low of operating, there's zero stack pressure. Look at the fire. That gauge is off. That's the one you want to read. Our regulated pressure is 3.4. Manifold pressure, very readable. The flow right here. Gas flow, CFH. VFD at low fire. Analyzer readings at low fire.
This concludes the factory fire test of the first 400 horsepower boiler for the Wards Island project.